old light bulbs or the new light bulbs, how could you prove that, you know, in that area, was it just a normal, you know, incandescent light bulb, or were you in a neighborhood that was all with spiral light bulbs?
Well, within,
they were emitting,
what was being measured with smart
You're
meters?
getting to more and more questions. We've got other people that have questions too. Okay.
So can I answer that question about how testing should be done? Right? In order to make sure that you do testing correctly, what you need to do is have a control environment. What you need to do is measure the, you know, the information, what we call the power density, okay? Before you put any additional information, you know, like a meter or whatever it is that you're trying to measure. Because you can only measure the incremental, not that something's in there now and say, oh, look at what this is. Okay? Because there are a lot, as you say, there are a lot of different equipment that's sending radio frequency today. One other thing that I want you to know about when you say, well, these, you know, human bodies are electrical currents, and these things are incompatible with electrical currents. First and foremost, EMF, radio frequency, and all that is just part of the energy waves. Okay? The highest source of energy waves on Earth is first the sun. Okay? When most people think of the sun, they only think about the you know, the sunlight portion of the energy waves, but the sun actually sends out energy waves you know, that spans a very wide spectrum. And EMF and radio frequency is part of the EMF spectrum, also is sent out by the sun. The sun provides more of that energy than anything else that we're talking about today. Okay? If you measure what that is in the environment and what the smart meter is putting out, it's so infinitesimally small compared to what the sun provides already. So when he said, well, that is incompatible with your body, then I'm saying, does that mean that you should no longer ever go out to the sun? Because that energy is also going through you.
That's a very clever assessment. What I will say, these devices are billions, trillions times natural background levels. When you go around with one of those meters, if you're out in the forest or whatever, you're not going to get that type of a reading. The sun sends this stuff out. The question is, how much of that makes it to the earth? That is the question. But he says, oh, just the sun does all these things.
And what I'm saying is that the background already there is much, much higher than the power that is being sent out by these meters.
I'd just like to say, I think that you guys are being very,
are you responding to that question, or?
yeah, well, I just don't like the way he's talking about it. Like, these people from Hydro are here acting and talking like this is a big joke. I mean, this is very serious consequences that we're talking about. It's not like, oh, he's gonna get a bump on his knee, ha ha ha. It's he's gonna get a fucking brain tumor in his head. Whoa. That's so hilarious.
We take this very seriously.
And when my friend here, Lisa, was talking to this man over here about a house fire that she's survived and been through, and I seen him there laughing, like holding back a smirk, you know, and I just think that that's very disrespectful.
I'm sorry if you felt that that's what I was saying. I was trying to understand the concern that he put out there about the fire.
Well, it's a very major concern, and I think that you guys are taking it like a big joke, probably because you got big fat paychecks in your back pocket.
All we said is we're providing you the information that corrects what he's saying. So we're going to send that to Joe. It's nothing that easy high because provided this information from the fire chiefs that investigated those fires.
Our fire chiefs, electricians. Our fire chiefs, part of the people who build buildings.
What I said,
it's okay, I'm sure it is, I'm just asking.
No, what I said was that you said here's a fire.
I'm aware of what you said.
And what I'm saying is that I have information that says the smart meter had nothing to do with a fire.
Of course, and you also have information to say that non-thermal effects don't exist when science and the universal laws of the universe say that they do. It's called propaganda to make you guys believe something so a few people can make some money. That's how these things work.
We've got a family environment here. We'd like to keep the vocabulary kind of to the crowd, okay? Thank you. And Bill's got a question.
I was working this winter, and someone from my house, they kept the meeting when I wasn't even home. I don't understand that. Why DC would have that power. And another thing I hate about profits, and I'm also profits, is I I thought BCI there was our government, and I thought our government was our people, and I thought our people shared the wealth.
So as far as why your meter got exchanged, everybody that gets a smart meter gets notification by mail ahead of time. A package is sent to you. There's information there at that time if you have any questions. There's a call center and different things to phone. By and large, the meter installer comes and knocks on your door. If you're not there, you're not going to be, we'll install your smart meter and leave you an information package. You'll always try to contact you first, but our initial contact has been that. If we've not heard from you, we proceed.
You think that's legal?
By law, you're supposed to have permission to enter reserves.
To do what?
By law, you're supposed to have permission to
Yeah, and
enter
actually,
on reserves.
we do not actually
don't
go
follow
on.
the law?
We don't actually go on to the reserves before we make all of that happen. That's why we've got so many First Nations people working on this.
Just one moment. Your comment, Pat, you think it's legal?
I'm sorry?
Did you say you think it's legal?
No, I didn't say I think it's legal. No, I know what we're doing. It's fine. As far as our tariff goes, we have a right. When you
Okay, I like the business card.
Sure.
Thank you.
I mean, that's BC Hydro's meter. We decide on the power. It says we have access to the meter. You have to provide reasonable access, that sort of thing. As far as the smart meter goes, we provide the notification by mail. We don't hear from you. We tell you we're coming. If we don't hear from you, we come. We knock on your door. If you're not there, we change the meter.
So the point is, if you guys have major concerns about the meters and you want more information, you need to call BC Hydro call center. What if we just delay?
Do not delay the installation of meter. That's implied consent. You're going to be put on a list, which means you will accept the meter at a later date by their choosing. If you don't want a meter, you're going to have to do a lot of work, because even people who put the signs up, even people who have changed the locks on their apartment complexes, they busted the locks down and went in and installed them against their will.
That's breaking an injury.
Yes, you have done.
Broken locks?
Oh, yes, you have. You very much have done.
It was on CTV.
James, you have another question?
My question is, now today, I've been in my house for over 20 years. Well, close to 30 years. And with the smart meter, right now I'm paying with something like 200 on for my hydro. So how is that going to affect if I put in the smart meter? Is that going to be benefit me?
So your power consumption won't change. We will measure it just as accurately as we always have. We have measurement in Canada, federal guidelines we have to follow, so it's going to be accurate. Your bill is not going to increase because you have a smart meter, so nothing should change. The only potential possibility is if you had an old analog meter and it happened to be running slow because it was really old, there was something wrong with it, you took it out, put in a smart meter, and it's more accurate, I guess there's a potential where that could increase your bill, because now it's actually right, but that's not.
Okay, now I have each one person comes around, he goes there, checks my meter and everything, writes it down, and then a few weeks later I get a bill. Now, is this going to happen the same way, or is my bills coming directly from Vancouver? Is it read down Vancouver, or how is that going to work?
So right now your bill will come exactly the same way it always does.
So the person won't be coming to my house anymore to check the smart meter?
They certainly will be for a period of time until we have confidence that the system is working correctly. At this point, every meter is being read.
Didn't you have confidence before you put it on?
Yes.
Lots of very interesting
Well,
points.
no, you're talking about the billing reads, and we're talking about before we ever bill on it, we need to have confidence that the system actually works and can bill accurately.
Okay, now the way it is now, there hasn't been any problems with my house.
Yeah.
Now, am I going to be insured now after this? I'm not going to have any problems with my
What do you mean by insured?
There's not going to be like a
like what they're talking about, like electrical problems or surges.
So here's what happens with most of what, I mean, you know, let's take the example of that fellow with the fridge there.
Yeah.
When you take any meter out of the socket, you interrupt the power. It's no different than if a car hits a pole and the line goes down. Whenever that happens, we get calls from people that said, my fridge quit, my freezer quit, and you know what? That's a consequence of older appliances, power interruptions, power starting. doesn't happen very often, but it happens often enough. When you change 1.8 million meters, you're bound to run into instances of pulling that meter and putting it in is no different than a car hitting a pole or any other way of interrupting the power. Sometimes there's a consequence with an old appliance. It's not because it's a smart meter, it's because the power went out, the power came back on, and sometimes that happens.
The point is you get to pay, as usual.
But wait, you always have. This is no different than it has been for the past 75 years. This is not a new phenomenon at all.
If I could ask one question in regards to accuracy. How accurate are analog meters, roughly? 98% accurate? 95, 91?
You know what, that's a good question. I forget the exact number. We're governed by Measurement Canada, the accuracy, what they have to be.
So because I've heard numbers around 99% accurate, and if such is the case, is there really a need to spend billions of dollars to perhaps get that extra 1% more accuracy?
No, but that's not part of the business case either. It's not about getting more accuracy. I just told you what would happen if an old analog meter started to fail.
I understand what you say.
It start to slow down.
If it's okay, if you cannot tell me what you just told me, because I can hear what you guys say.
Sonia's got a question next, and then Colleen. And then Bill. Laura got a question? After Bill.
Okay, that's Sonia.
Go ahead, Sonia.
I think Brian has done a really good study, and I was just wondering if you already put a smart meter in a home, would you come and remove it if the person didn't want it?
So our practice right now is we don't do that. We don't have old meters to put back. We only purchase smart meters. When the old meters come out, the old ones, for security purposes as much as anything, they're destroyed. We don't like that. We don't like
I don't like the fact that Hiya is destroying devices that the ratepayers have paid for, as well due to the fact knowing the potentiality of health problems that may be incurred, and now they're destroying them to prevent any possibility from you guys to get another analog meter back. That's what they're doing.
Well, I don't know. That sounds, pretty conspiracy.
It sounds pretty true, actually, because that's exactly what happened. Don't conspiracy me and try and trick these people.
Respect. We do not have
respect.
No offense, but you can throw many words around.
Okay, we got Colleen next.
Yeah,
And
I want to avoid that.
Okay, I have, all I want to say right now is I'm glad that, what's your name, Brian? Yeah, I'm glad you came to tell us a lot of things. I learned a lot. I did some study myself today. I heard about stop smart meters PC and the stop smart meters, which is, again, putting it into 12 days. One thing I found out that there's no human health tests done, right?
Interesting stuff.
Yeah, there's no tests done on humans to against that it's safe for you. With all the adverse effects it has. And what I can see right now too is that there's no benefit to the people at all. It's only a benefit to this utility. That's it. And I think I've heard before it's been done over in Europe with a lot of detrimental effects to the people over there in Europe. And also, it's interesting that I learned today that other countries use this radio frequency to kill cancer, and that's what they're putting in. I didn't know about this power line to Asia, and hacking, that our data can be compromised.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, from this smart meter put in. And also that Merritt was one of those communities that actually signed up against the smart meter. And here we are. Yay!
If I can just touch very briefly on this, I don't want to take up too much on it, just perhaps to be clear. The same frequencies that come out of the smart meters will not affect any cancer cells. What they are showing there, what I'm trying to tell you is that they say that there's no effect on cells or any type of showing whatsoever that anything can happen. So when I show them, basically what I'm saying is there can be effect. And those frequencies can be specifically designed to get rid of things like cancer. Now, if they are not designed to benefit you, or not designed to be neutral, there's only one thing left, and that is to cause problems. And this is what I'm trying to say. You can't have cumulative exposure for 24 hours a day for the rest of your life with expecting nothing whatsoever to happen. Now, to do human testing, that's a whole different ballgame. So what you would perhaps do is you look at all the old military documents and studies that have been done since the 1930s when radar equipment was first invented. Just to give you guys a little understanding. Why did the Russians know to get rid of microwaves? Because the German guys were standing by the radar systems to stay warm. They found they got sick and they started dying. They also, the Germans said, we don't want to heat our fuel, use heating fuel, because that's valuable fuel that can be used for something else. So they started microwaving the food. Guess what happened? Those guys, over time, they were showed to start dying worse than the general population. So, you can take these studies and take some understandings out of them and look at them. Health Canada, the weight of evidence moving forward, which is what's said in Safety Code 6. We will use the weight of evidence moving forward. Guess who works for Health Canada? That's right, your friendly former Motorola industry guys who are deciding to accept studies sponsored by Motorola only, and any other evidence that comes in, they deny it exists. That's their weight of evidence moving forward. This is part of the public record. There's no conspiracy involved. You can look at the people who are employed by them, where they used to work. So that's part of that equation as well. And in Europe, yes, and schools are getting rid of Wi-Fi, and entire countries.
That's a big answer there.
Yes.
Thank you. Bill's got a question, and the lady down at the end there.
Okay, I was wondering, like, you keep saying there was BC Hydro says there was no studies done. Is that true, or?
BC Hydro has, just like the health organizations, there's a lot of studies that's already been done. So what we do is we rely on the preponderance of information that's already been out there.
So what you're saying with all those other studies that they've done?
All those studies that have been done by the mainstream organizations says that there are no direct health effects that they can find with the RF, the smart meters.
And then he said these things are going to be good for us for saving money. That's basically the way I look at it. So in saying that, so I can look as a ratepayer and not have to look at another increase for the next 5 to 10 years. This thing is in there because it's that good, right?
No, it didn't. No, it didn't say
That's
that.
the way I take it. No, I'm not.
Here's how the business case works. It's just like you. If you install an energy efficient furnace, you're not going to get the benefits in the first year or two. It takes a while before they come up. So what we're saying is that over the 20-year span that our business case covers, because that is the lifespan span we predict for the smart meter, is that your rate increase would be, I believe it's 3 to 5% less than it would be without the smart meters. Rates will still go up for all the reasons rates go up and everything else.
So it's not doing anything?
So no, we're saying but they will go up less because now we'll have the benefits of the smart meters and the smart grid program that it supports.
And hopefully we educate ourselves about conservation.
Okay, my last question was, okay, we live in here and we had an older appliance. Somebody hit a tree and the power went out. Or I guess what was it, 5 days? 5 days later we opened up the freezer and it was shot.
Yeah.
So I was, oh, well, it must have been the power. So I phoned up BC Hydro and said, hey, listen, the power went out on such and such a day. And the lady goes, that's not our fault. Well, somebody's got to, you know. And she says, well, no. You want to get, I can't remember the word, but you want to get paid for your, go talk to the insurance company of the person that hit the power.
Well, I mean, you know, and that's...
Okay, now I understand that. I understand that. I got that, okay? So now, let's say your guy comes in, pulls the meter. Whose fault is it?
If he does what?
If I had an old freezer and it quits. Because the power interruption, because your meter puller is going to come and pull the meter, right? And it's going to interrupt the power in the house, right? So yeah, whose fault is it? Is it mine? Because I let you pull the power?
Well,
the
fact is we consider whether you pull it, whether the powers are interrupted because we pull the meter because a car hit a pole.
Whose fault it is the question.
Yeah,
okay, we don't believe that is our. That's not our fault that the power went out.
So
the
it's
power
not
go
out.
out.
The fire happens. Okay.
No, I didn't. Hey, come on, Brian. I didn't say that.
You're very sensationalistic, Brian.
Let's not do that, okay?
There's a lady at the end of the table here. She's got a question.
Hi, I just wanted to comment. I've been fighting these smart meters for quite some
Terry. Wilson.
Wilson, to compare this man-made electromagnetic radiation to what the sun emits is wrong. And we've evolved, people have been on this planet for millions of years. We've evolved with the sun rays there, so our bodies are adapted to the rays that come from the sun. This electromagnetic radiation is electromagnetic, and it pulses, it modulates. The sun rays don't do that. So please, we know the sun and its energy does not equate to the man-made. And I ask you, please don't underestimate our intelligence by comparing the two. I think you did.
No, I'm saying that it's the same frequency.
Oh. One modulates,
and that
one doesn't. Multiple.
But there's also been, okay, but there's also been studies, okay, but there's also studies, right, that I don't set, that says here is a level.
Nobody cares what you say.
We got Sandra next, I'll put you on the list here.
What's my name on that list?
Yeah, you're on here.
What my name on the
You're up
list?
for Sandra.
I just kind of wanted to ask, over the years, in order to pay for all these smart meters to be changed, all the meters to be changed to smart meters, does that mean our hydro is going to be increasing? Like how much in an increase are we looking at for hydro in order to pay for all the meters to be changed, all the workers to come out?
No, my understanding is that the, and Terry, you can, you're more familiar with it, but my understanding is that because the business case shows that it's a positive business case, meaning that there are more benefits than the cost, that the benefit actually gets rolled back into the rates, and that while the rates are increasing, it was for other reasons other than smart meters, and that the rate would have increased even higher if we don't have the benefits from the smart meter.
Who wrote the business case?
How much is the hydro increasing in, say, in the next year, 5 years, 10 years type thing? And if these smart meters do start to malfunction, is the homeowner responsible in replacing that, or is hydro going to be replacing that?
That would be hydro.
That's hydro.
I think you would asked who wrote the business case? I don't know if he asked that.
Yeah, he has.
So as I said, you look at this over a 20-year period. You have to spend money to earn money. It costs money to put this program in. It does. There's no question about it. But you always do that, and then you say, what money am I going to save because now I put it? And only at the end, or along the way, can you weigh those benefits. And what I'm saying is that over that 20-year period, your rates will increase 3 to 5%, and I might be a little off on those numbers, less than it would have if we had not done the program.
Yeah, I know if that's clear.
What's that? So that's the business case. I mean, a lot of time was put together in the business case. So you look at what are the benefits. Well, I'm sorry, if you don't want to take me credibly, then I cannot answer your question. Your question is not...
Your business case for Accenture to take over.
I'm sorry?
Also going to save us $200 million over 10 years for $25 million a year. And it turns out now we're paying $500 million for that program.
Which
for
program?
BC Hydro and Accenture. So actually your track record isn't exactly bang on when you talk about business.
I'll speak to the smart meter program. I'll confine my comments to that.
That's very short.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't have enough information to speak to some of the other stuff.
Okay, I'm next.
Okay,
Okay, I want to ask this point blank, does smart meters cause cancer by the frequencies that go through the houses? I heard this earlier. This is about 5 months ago, and I actually heard about this. If this Brian Thiesen, chairman, Interior Smart Meter Awareness, didn't come in with his presentation, would smart meters let us know of the negative impacts that he's talking about? Would you guys have left him? Is he allowed to go to and do other presentations? I think it's really good for us to know what he has to say.
You're asking the question, it's not about us a lot. I mean, Brian goes where Brian wants to go. Everyone is invited, right?
I think he should be. And is or has there been any studies done of the smart meters that he's talking about? looks like he's done some homework worldwide, and my son here done his homework a bit.
So as Wilson suggested, we rely on the studies that have been done by credible and accredited organizations. That's what we rely on. I can't personally speak to some of this. I'm not a medical professional.
What I will say, again, what people need to understand is the difference between thermal and non-thermal effects. When they say credible, firstly insinuating that we use uncredible people. Secondly, within such non-thermal and thermal effects, they say people don't heat up means it's safe. That's when they say no studies, nothing's ever happened, whatever the terminology. We use these credible guys when they say nothing's happened. They rely on the heat effect alone. They do not allow you to understand the difference between thermal and non-thermal biological effects. When you run electricity through people's bodies, it doesn't mean they're going to heat up to a certain degree that they have deemed safe. That is what's happening. So they're saying, this is a safe level for you to be microwaved. We're going to assign you a power density. And allow you to be induced to allow you and say, this is what's safe because you don't heat up to a certain degree. That's the test.
I think the smart meter thing here, what's happening here, we should put it in science, in the schools.
Okay. So I just want to comment that we never, I don't know who the they are that he's referring to that says we
I think
only...
the more information, communication we know, then we feel safe.
I agree with you totally, and that's why I was hoping, that's why we're out here to try to give information as well. I don't know who the they are that says that we only are focusing on the thermal and not the non-thermal. Okay. I'm sorry? Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Well, the information I read just talks about radio frequency. They didn't say that, oh, we're only dealing with the thermal portion of the radio frequency effects.
Have you done the research?
Personally, no, I don't do any of the research, as I said.
So that's what I'm telling you.
Dave Mickelson from UBC has done, and he will corroborate, what my good friend here is saying. And again, some of the information he has said, yes, and I can give you the link to this, and by all means, look at it, read it with an open mind.
What is the Naval Medical Research Institute? Over 2,300 studies, including the Environmental Protection Agency, 3,627 studies, and multiple other agencies. I get 4 or 5 different studies in my inbox showing this has happened all the time. Almost every day I get one. What are they saying? How come the American Academy of Environmental Medicine told California to halt smart meters immediately because of the effects? How come this is happening? Is it because we're crazy and we're using weird data over here and strange science? Or do we understand that we are electrical and we obey the laws of the universe and you cannot mess with your natural biological rhythms without causing problems? You operate at maximum 50 hertz. You send these hertz through your bodies, you're inevitably going to have problems when you disrupt those electrochemical signals. They don't think that you have electricity, they think you're a piece of tissue that can heat up. And until you heat up to that degree, you will be safe. They assign you a power density, they say you can be electrocuted up to this point.
Okay, it's been brought to my attention by one of the elders that I did promise that there was going to be some door prizes. Hydro people brought some really nice door prizes. You all have tickets with a number on it.
How lovely.
Okay, we'll take a little break.
They are so caring.
Was that a sarcastic comment?
Okay.
Not at all. Door prizes, wow.
I've got you after Vera. Vera, and you.
Just so you know, we were requested to bring door prizes. Oh, I understand. I know you guys are just taking orders, but, is that going to cut it?
No, what? Not by our people, by the
Oh, okay. I understand. Fair enough.